Good afternoon, everybody. Um, my name's Joe Bandel. I am the last Rosicrucian. I thought, okay, I already put out a video this week, but some circumstances came up where I thought, I'm going to try to put out an extra one just for the hell of it, kind of. Um, so this one's, uh, it's actually about narrative. It's about why narrative is so important in our world, and it's about the subconscious and how the subconscious works. Now, it's a tricky subject, it's a difficult subject. I'm going to try to make sense out of it here because it's kind of like the light bulb came on for me, and this is something that for a long time I've really struggled with how to explain why is narrative so important out there in this crazy world that we're living in. And the whole answer deals with the subconscious, and it deals with how the subconscious works, and it deals with suggestibility. And it's it's really fascinating when you get into it because the subconscious is it has some unique capabilities that we don't think about or we're not really understanding, we're not really aware of. For example, the subconscious has a direct connection to source. It can really pick out the best choices, the best things for us. Uh, it has the capability of taking care of us the best way it can. For example, regulating our heartbeat, regulating our blood pressure, regulating our breathing patterns, how cells are, how our health. These are these are things that are regulated. They're run. They're directed through the subconscious, and to do that, it's automatically choosing without our consciously trying to direct it. It's choosing what's good for us, basically. And so, what a what an opportunity if we're doing it right. What an opportunity to really maximize our potentials in life by deliberately using the subconscious in a positive, creative way. But that's not all the subconscious does. Also, the subconscious is aware of our memories. Every single memory from this life, from our lifetime, and some of the karmic memories or the unresolved memories that come in from past lives that cause us to flinch or cause us to act in certain ways where because of something that happened either in this lifetime or because of something that happened in a past lifetime, it creates kind of a knee jerk response from us. So the subconscious is doing that as well. And some of those things are good responses, but some of those responses are negative responses. And we just do them like knee jerk without thinking about it. So those are areas where the subconscious is not acting appropriately or could possibly be not acting appropriately. But here's where it gets even more interesting, because when we are in an altered state, any altered state, our suggestibility increases, which means that something is suggested to us, do this, and we have a unconscious reaction, which is, okay, we'll do it. So, and even more specifically, when you get into like self-hypnosis and you get into self-programming, if you go into an altered state and you say, okay, I am going to really be more eager and spend more time on my writing project. I'm going to feel good about this or something like that. What happens is the subconscious has a tendency to do what it's told. And if it is told to do something, well, and that's how self-programming works. You just keep telling yourself, you keep telling your subconscious, I want to lose weight. This is how I'm going to lose weight. This is how I'm going to lose weight. You got to be careful how you phrase things. Or I want to eat properly. I want to eat smaller portions. I want to this and that, kind of like that, okay? So the self-programming goes into the unconscious. And now if you remember what I said right at the beginning, the subconscious, the subconscious is, it wants to find the best solution for you. But if you're telling it and you can consistently, you keep telling it something that's not that good for you, what you tell it will override the good thing, and you get into some self-destructive behaviors. This is the mechanism of how it works. And now, when you take the subject of narrative, where we are being bombarded by a contrived narrative that sounds good, but it's not necessarily good for us, that's not necessarily true, and it goes into that subconscious, and it's repeated over and over again, and we're not really paying attention to it. That's what narrative, that's what the mass media is doing. They're programming us. They're programming the subconscious, our subconscious, to go along with this narrative. And without even thinking about it, because it's subconscious, we do that. We go along with it. Even if it's self-destructive, even if it is against us. So just in this few minutes here, I've tried to describe the mechanism that the subconscious uses. Even though it has access to source, it has access to the future, it has access to our life's purpose, it has access to all of our memories, whether we consciously are aware of those memories or not. And it's being manipulated. Narrative deliberately goes in and takes advantage of how that works to create a society that some people want. So it's being abused. The way the subconscious works is being abused, and we're not consciously aware of how that's happening. We're not consciously aware of how it works, so we let it happen. We don't question things. Now, if the subconscious, if it's being told do this, but it knows that this is really the thing that's good for us, it will try to do the thing that's good for us until it gets overwhelmed by the negative thing, and it'll say it'll start doing this, and this one will drop away. So how do we deal with something that's happening and that's directing our lives, that's actually manipulating us without us even being consciously aware of it? That's the question. That's the big question, and the answer is not easy. The best answer that I can come up with is to be educated, to educate ourselves about issues and things so that we're sensitive to the right approach. Because if we have an approach that's even halfway right, our subconscious is going to say, "Hey, this was halfway right. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try this because it's moving us in the direction that we really want to go." But to do that, we have to break out of the loop. We have to break out of that structure, that narrative. So somehow narrative has to go away. And the best way of breaking out of narrative is to think about and consider both sides of an issue. Because if you have this side of an issue and this side of an issue and they're contradicting each other, if you are at least aware that there's two sides, and if you're at least aware of why one side is pushing and why the other side is pushing and why the conflict exists, you have a better chance of making a personal choice rather than just being controlled by narrative. Now you might think, well, what kind of a video is this? What, I don't, or how, that's a lot of BS or something like that. But I'm going to challenge you right now, and I'm going to say, look at the people around you. The people around you that just mimic narrative. They repeat without thinking about it. They repeat what they hear on the news. They don't give any discernment ability. They have no discernment ability. They just believe what they're told. Just about everybody that I know is doing that. They just believe what they're told and they don't give it any further thought. And mimic, they give they give the politically correct answer, and it's all so they're being programmed, they're being manipulated, their subconscious is being programmed, and it's totally no normal awareness is not aware of it. They're just taking it the way it is. Anyway, that's all that I had to say. I can't think of more to add to it. I I know it's not a satisfactory answer here, but I tried to do it justice. Leave some comments if it worked, if it makes sense, and try to see both sides of an issue so that you can rise above it and actually make a discerning choice on things. Thank you. Till next week. Goodbye.